Hello Rebels and welcome back to my life. It's Tolkien Tuesday, the day that we talk about J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and any exciting real-life happenings going on in the fictional world of Middle-earth. So back in the middle of last year, I was telling you the story about the creation of the world. Not the real world, Middle-earth, which is a real fictional world. It's a very wibbly-wobbly kind of thing. But today, as we return to Tolkien Tuesday, I want to reflect on the most significant Middle-earth event to take place in recent history. It's been more than a year since the last film in the Hobbit film trilogy came out, so now, hopefully, we can look back on them with some distance, some objectivity, and hopefully some wisdom. I found many things enjoyable about the Hobbit films. I mean, the casting was great. Martin Freeman was an awesome Bilbo. Ian McKellen just, is Gandalf. And the dwarves... well, the dwarves were very well cast. I mean, the actors were fine. The Hobbit films were alright. They were not the Star Wars prequels, filled with cringeworthy dialogue and terrible acting. Most of my problems with the Hobbit films were from a purely technical standpoint. Like, the cinematography was just noticeably different from The Lord of the Rings, which is really weird because it was the same cinematographer working with the same director. The Hobbit films made everything typical Hollywood orange and blue. And if you don't know about Hollywood orange and blue, Google it. It will ruin movies for you, but you should know. We should all know that it's happening. And a lot of design elements in the films, particularly the dwarves, looked ridiculous. Other than the few select dwarves who were vitally important to the plot, the vast majority of moviegoers out there would not be able to recognize one of the dwarves if you held up a picture of one of them. Despite the fact that they all have crazy hair sticking out everywhere in different clothes, and one of them has a slingshot. Why does he have a slingshot? And these design problems litter the movie. I mean, the Goblin King, Thranduil's freaking moose, and Bjorn, especially Bjorn. I mean, if you've never read the books or the graphic novel, man, a lot of the stuff that was added to the story to lengthen the book into 3 movies didn't really bother me. Except for Gundabad. Why? But the stuff that was changed was heartbreaking. See my earlier Hobbit review videos about Thorin's death in particular. I will never get over that, ever. It should have been as good as Boromir's death, and it, very much was not. So, why? What's the reason for all this? And what does it mean for us as fans of Tolkien in the future? I think that the reason is pretty clear. Peter Jackson wasn't going to direct the Hobbit films until less than a year before filming started. Until then it was going to be Guillermo del Toro, but he quit. There's a story that I've heard, and I can't verify that it's true, that Warner Brothers called Peter Jackson in and said, "We want you to direct the films." And he said no. And they said, "You can have complete creative control. We won't touch it. We won't say a thing." And he said yes. If that story is true, I think that there is one more thing that they said. And I think that that was, but you have to start shooting on the original production schedule. I think that's where we fell down. I feel like the Hobbit films look like a Del Toro film as orchestrated and conducted by Peter Jackson. And he has said in interviews that they were winging a lot of the filmmaking. I think that there was a lot more CGI in the Hobbit films because they simply didn't have the time to plan the practical effects that they did for The Lord of the Rings. If The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings films had been made in book order, I would be a very happy camper right now. Because we would have started off with a cool but slightly off trilogy of films and then ended with my 3 favorite movies of all time. But facing the reality of how the films were made going forward into the future as Tolkien and Middle-earth fans, here's the thing, right? The Lord of the Rings movies haven't gone anywhere. I want you to do something for me. I want you to block out your next available weekend where you're not doing anything else, and I want you to watch all of the Middle-earth movies in order. All 6 films, back-to-back, extended editions if you've got them. Saturday might feel like a chore, although you might enjoy it more than you think. But Sunday will remind you and me and anyone else who does this that Middle-earth it's right there. It's right there on our DVD shelf. We've got 24 freaking hours of Middle-earth, and if 12 of those hours aren't as good as the other 12 hours, it's still Middle-earth, and jeez, it's just a really good place to be. That's it for today, Rebels. I want to give a special shout out to my supporters on Patreon who make the YouTube channel possible. If you want to be one of those excellent people or pick up signed copies of my books, there are links in the description to both of those things. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!